My request now, Dr. Basuraj Shrestha from Grassroot Organization, Mysore. Dr. Basuraj, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Krishnaraj. First of all, thanks for having me here. It's really a wonderful discussion we are having. It's a thought-provoking, opening up many ideas, avenues for the people working at the grassroots to understand, gather the intelligence from the various people and sources. Thanks, Impri, for organizing this, especially Arjun Kumar and the team for putting up all of us together in this platform. I'm very happy to be a part of this distinguished panels. Uh, uh, I'll probably use my slides just to be precise and specific to the topic, what is actually given to all of us, without actually diverging into the various other socio-political issues, rather, and as well as the larger macro level issues which are relevant but not very important at the moment. So what we need to act at the grassroots is something we need to be worrying about. Yeah, Professor Krishnaraj, is my slides are visible?
Yes, yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. You can also go full screen.
Yeah. Firstly, so although GRAM is not a implementation organization primarily, so basically it's a policy research organization working across 12 states of the country now. But there's a some saying, when there is a war, everyone is a soldier. So we can't sit back and relax saying that we are a policy research organization. We'll just keep throwing the data and we'll analyze, and we'll be doing some social media activities to highlight the issues. So while we are doing also that parallelly, GRAM is now also into the action at the ground, and I'll share about that in my subsequent slides. So just to briefly, GRAM now completed its 10th year of existence, working across various sectors, particularly in health research a lot actually. There's one question asked by Professor Krishnaraj saying that what is the status of Ayushman Bharat health and wellness centers, such schemes launched. And I'm happy to share, probably if not today, some other occasions, that recently GRAM completed this study in 18 states of India, and we can talk about the status of Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers with evidence actually. So basically, let me speak to you about the realities. Being a researcher, let me start with throwing some numbers, statistics. So specifically related to the rural Mysore. So wherein we are also working, apart from doing study, also working in the grassroots. So as of now, total active cases we have in Mysore is 13,000. Cumulative positives are more than 1,19,000 something. And in the last 24 hours, we had a positive case of 18,879, and rural positive cases in the last 24 hours is 39%. Active quarantine in the rural area, as given by the district administration, 2,640. But let me quote the district commissioner of Mysore. So she says, 20 days back, 10% cases were from the taluk and rural areas, 90% from the urban areas, and now 50% are from the rural areas. So that's what this is. You can understand. So what's happening, what's going on, how serious situation we are in. The district positivity rate has risen to 48.5%. That's in Mysore, where we have infrastructure, supposed to have more infrastructure compared to other cities or districts in Karnataka. So it was actually between 19% to 38% and 38 to 32% in the last week of April. Now in the mid of May, we are 48 to more than 50% right now. And as you all know, the Karnataka is showing positivity over 25% in the recent days. But I should also say that grassroots observations also says the testing is substantially reduced. And that's another issue to be discussed, debated, although while these numbers are there. So the testing is substantially reduced, and the district administration has taken up a decision to go with the syndromic approach to treat the cases is being followed right now, rather than going the testing. But thanks to the decision made by government yesterday, that again they have taken a decision to increase the testing and take it to the level of 45 lakh testing per day in the coming days and months actually. So, but that's another issue. So with the reduced testing rates, this is testing numbers, this is the number of cases coming in the last 24 hours. Coming to the realities of what is preventing us from prevention of these diseases at the rural area. What are the prevention challenges at the rural areas? I think you have gone through the recent study report, which was also quoted by Health Ministry yesterday during the press briefing, which says most people still do not wear masks. And it says actually specifically 50% of people do not wear masks, while 64% of the people who do wear masks, they do not cover the nose. That's the reality. And unfortunately, this reality is more and worrisome in the rural area. And lack of information on types of masks, methods of wearing masks is, of course, being in this domain. I very recently learned whether surgical mask should be worn with the N95 mask, or which should come top, which should come beneath. So those kind of informations are still, of course, coming. Of course, in pandemic, nothing is it's a moving stone. So everybody is trying to understand this is better and better with each passing day. And of course, information is also improving. And you can imagine how the information level are amongst the rural population. And continuously, the another challenge we have in the rural area is wearing hygienic masks. In fact, I had this doubt. So when we wanted, as part of our initiative, and wanted to think, take a decision whether we should distribute masks to the rural population, I consulted the Tahsildar and the THO. They said, sir, please distribute masks, because we are seeing our people wearing the same mask from last 1 year and not even washing it appropriately. This is another challenge we have learned and listened from the frontline workers actually. And people are hesitant to go specifically to the government hospitals when the symptom starts. So of course, these issues are also highlighted by Dr. Sitaram during his presentations, but especially, so they are saying, if I quote exactly, use their word, news namuna hiddaktira, koodaktira, saistira. So government ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಣ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ತರದ ಒಂದು ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳು, ಈ ತರದ ಒಂದು ಹೆದರಿಕೆಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನಮ್ಮ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇವೆ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆನ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So they're specifically hesitant to go to the government hospital, saying that, okay, you will consider everybody coming to the government hospital as a COVID positive cases, and you want cases, you want numbers. That's another hesitation and the kind of belief has percolated to the rural area. And another thing, as Dr. Sitaram also quoted, we eat well, work hard, and we don't have to worry. So that's another common thinking, understanding in some of the remotest part of the villages. And most challenge right now we have is, of course, infodemic that's spread very badly to the rural areas also. So there's a strong information which keeps floating in the rural area that hospitals are not safe. No one returned to our village from the hospital, although we see most number of cases from the same village coming back from the hospital, so with a proper cure. So but there is, if 1 or 2 exceptional cases, then deaths occurring, so it's killing the morale of the people. And of course they're making thinking that hospitals are not safe and we can't return alive from the hospital. At least we die at home peacefully. These are all the common informations and in the what's conversation happening between the people, and just putting it forward. Gathering is continuing to happen at shops, small hotels, milk cooperative societies. So this is continuing in the rural area even today. And most importantly, delayed testing and delayed hospitalization is the cause of the worry. So these are all some of the points from the preventive angle. But when it comes to the realities of home isolation and quarantine at home, so we have these practical challenges. One is small houses. There is no concept of room, separate room with attached bathroom in the rural area, as we have all those luxuries in the urban area. And either you find a shared toilet or no toilet. And what is most dangerous is youths are not even disclosing the status of symptoms to the family. So with the fear of COVID is so much that they are not even disclosing. By the time their symptoms spikes and the families come to know, it will be to a week long process. It would have actually spread across the family also. More challenges when the women of the households are affected. So still, of course, they have to cook, whether with COVID or without COVID in the hotel. There is no home delivery of food, no hotel services available. They have to cook and eat. And especially we are listening stories how women are also suffering when home isolation are prescribed, especially the women of the household are affected. So how difficult it is to manage. And this comes on the demand side. When it comes to the supply side, the challenges they have having in ensuring or enforcing home isolation is non-cooperation to ASHAs in the community. Like, see what happened, especially when it come to the vaccination drive. So government did all this vaccination mela, and ASHAs were actually in a way motivated or forced. Targets were fixed to ensure vaccination, and ASHAs actively participated, also with the spirit of preventing this infection. But unfortunately, exception cases have happened. Some people started developing fever, and some body ache. Of course, could be some exceptional deaths, and may not be because of vaccination. But no, they suddenly started saying, "Ashas, you come here to kill us, actually, and you are the carriers of coronavirus rather than anything." So those are all the challenges our frontline workers, ASHAs, are sharing, and lack of, unfortunately, basic safety materials provided to frontline workers. That's also an important thing to recognize, and the challenges we are having. And no oximeter, no thermometer at the community level. So what we are prescribing, even at the rural villages, you stay at home, home isolation is suggested, but also please keep a tab on your danger vitals and danger signals. But who will keep the tab? Whether ASHAs are having oximeters or thermometers? No, they don't have. So then what they should do, they should come to the primary health center, nearest primary health centers. So then how about home isolation? Don't. So these are all the practical challenges at the village level. Fatigue, of course, about that, the frontline workers, how burn out they are actually. Focus is more on treatment than prevention. So now I think the villages or even the administration have come to the terms, or probably assumed completely that now it's happened, community spread has happened. Now we need to treat the cases rather than preventing. But they're still, at least while we are worrying about the disease, as the earlier speakers said, we should also keep the hope. Around at least 50%, more than 50% of the people are not still affected. Are actually, while we are treating the affected, our focus should also be on people who are not affected and prevent them from acquiring this virus. That's something important. But that is now completely taken a backseat. Information communication activity and prevention activity has completely taken a backseat. Every resource, every human resource is invested on management of COVID more than triaging and treating the people with COVID. Coming to the next level of hospitalization, when especially people in the rural area requires hospitalization, lack of information is a major challenge. So where are the beds available? Which hospital I should go? Government hospitals are full. Even if I can afford to go to the private hospital, which private hospital I should go? This immediate information is not available at the village level. In cities, we Google it. There are portals available. There are volunteers available on your social media pages. They keep throwing the information about the bed availability, etc. But in rural area, whom they should consult? And of course, government took some initiatives to keep nodal officers at the community level. In the last wave, when the intensity of the spread and the virus was less, there was actually a teams made for the gram panchayats. Unfortunately, this time the nodal officer are appointed only for primary health centers level, which caters to the area of around 4 to 5 gram panchayats, which is 30,000 population. And of course, in Mysore, now we strongly advocated and got the revised order issued to have a nodal officers for each gram panchayat. So to take care of preventive activities of COVID also, forget only the treatment of COVID. So the role of another challenge I would like to draw your attention on lack of cohesion and complementing resources. So basically, the role of village panchayat is important and critical. Unfortunately, only we are all looking up to the central government and making them responsible or blaming for the inabilities or disabilities. Similarly, the second role is the state government, but somewhere we are not recognizing or not giving enough prominence for the village panchayats. So unfortunately, what has happened between the first and second wave in Karnataka, the Gram Panchayat elections have happened. There are new members elected, which are who are more than 50% of the Gram Panchayat members are new. So no, not even a basic fundamental training on Panchayat Raj system have happened to them completely and fully. But now there was a task force, government order issued, but no one knew completely and clearly how a task force should be developed, functioning and playing the crucial role in prevention and management of COVID at the panchayat level. I think somewhere it is important to recognize, to give a space, to also give resources and required know-how for the village panchayats to manage, because it is not, we have not reached the end of COVID. There are scientists, health scientists are also predicting wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, etc. And importantly, what we have also found at the district level is lack of coordination and cohesive action to procure or to gather community resources, external grants, civil society organization support, and volunteer support. There are many, especially thanks to my, not because I'm from the civil society background, I'm saying this. Yesterday, we were actually in front of the Zilla Panchayat offering our material services to the Zilla Panchayat. But parallelly, there's many social organization, corporate organization coming forward and donating equipments, relief materials, aids to the government. But is there any proper coordination happening? Who is ensuring that duplication of these resources not happening, appropriate reach of these resources happening? Because not every organization are equipped to reach these equipments to the last mile. They're simply donating, giving it to the district administration. How district administration has created a window, probably a single window to coordinate and support all these things. So that's another challenge and grassroots level issues we are finding. Now, of course, we talk about problems, we have all discussed problems, but as a practitioner, so let me also share with you what could be done to manage in the rural areas, keeping all these challenges, realities, lack of resources, everything in mind. At least rather than saying what should be done or what could be done, I would be putting it something like what we are trying to do. Basically, this project COVIReach right now Gram has launched to work in selected village panchayats of Mysuru, where COVID is affected a lot. Actually, there is the magnitude, number of cases are more. This is basically I've named it as Panchatantra Grama Mantra. So, wherein what is that 5 strategies we need to?
Dr. Basaraj?
Yeah.
It is a wonderful presentation. However, we have a very limited time.
Yep.
Could you please highlight and?
This is my last slide.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So one is, of course, strategy one is, as I said, I reiterate that strengthening the Gram Panchayat, basically activating Gram Panchayats and village task force, and activities advised by government. Government has come out with a wonderful set of activities and responsibilities for the task force, but handholding them, realizing them, giving them proper action plan is something required. And Gram Panchayat should play the role of providing emotional and moral support to the families. And village isolation and quarantine centers is now being discussed even at the strategy level. Assam government, as you have heard, said home isolation is not working. Even Karnataka government is also recognizing that. And GP care centers or isolation centers should be probably established for the needy families, and intensifying vaccination time. Similarly, we need a team of volunteers to share information, to provide care and network at the panchayat level, and that should be from the local panchayat, not outsiders being volunteers, and developing the team of youth volunteers from the villages, and engaging community-based organization, particularly self-help groups, because we have to bring that behavioral change to manage the COVID, as Dr. Sitaram was highlighting, how we can use SHGs effectively so to do that. And supporting community health personnel, that is more important. And fifth strategy is mobilizing civil society support for each panchayats to recognize, can you match appropriate civil society organization to work and match the resources as well as required know-how. So with this, so thanks for this opportunity. So probably any thoughts, any questions or any discussions, I would be happy to participate.
Thank you, Dr. Basaraj, for bringing out the realities and challenges of the rural area in tackling the COVID-19.